When you guys were going through the courtship phase and even getting married and even having your first two kids, that was all pre-COVID.
Yep.
So pre-COVID, to what extent did the two of you either foresee and plan around or experience and adjust based on like, hey, if we're going to have kids and have careers and balance work and life and money making and childcare, to what extent did you guys consider like proximity to family who could help out?
That was always like
a big factor.
Yeah.
So just talk a little bit about like how you guys approached that and sort of weighed the variables.
So this is something that I think people should, it's a good thing. Part of what attracted me to Kristen when I met her family was very similar to my family. They were very close. They all lived, I grew up with my mom's family. Was all in the same city. She has 3 sisters, all their kids. We all lived within 10 minutes of each other, and my grandparents. So my parents had a pool. Literally every day in the summer, my grandmother, all my aunts, and all my cousins were at our house swimming. So like I saw, extended family.
Yeah, it wasn't just nuclear family.
Yeah. And like we were at my grandmother's house all the time, especially when we were little. They were the ones that were babysitting us. My parents didn't have childcare because we just went to my grandparents. Yeah. And I liked that because we were all super close, and that was great. And that's how my mom grew up, and that's what she wanted, the same thing. Same thing on Kristen's side. That's how they all grew up. Everybody lived within, 20 minutes of each other. All the cousins were super close. Everybody's great. And I liked that. And because I knew we both wanted to live near our families. And I knew like, okay, Kristen's going to win. Like we're going to live near hers, but that's okay because I know they're really similar to my family and they're going to help when we need help. And that, that's the case. And now we live near my family, but even before we moved, my parents live in New Hampshire, so we didn't have to do childcare. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they were down in South Boston and in Marblehead watching our children, sleeping over, spending the night. Either my dad would come on like Mondays, he'd either stay over or he'd just drive back on Tuesday. So they were Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, people were always around. And they wanted to do that. And my parents still come on Tuesdays, every Tuesday to come and watch. Pickup. Yeah. My dad. And they want to do that. And so that was important to us because we grew up that way, but also we wanted that help. And if, Kristen's brother he used to live in California. Now he lives in South Carolina. And, they have 2 kids, and sometimes it's like a hassle to try to figure out what to do, and it's because they don't have that help. And I'm like, oh wow, that would be really we'd have a real tough time, without that.
Yeah. Well, no, one of the things we talked about is the challenges that are associated with couples today. It's more likely today that 2 people will come together and have very different expectations about how their family should be structured and organized and operate.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you're saying, which we didn't talk about before, but like, let's go back. Was it part of your conscious like attraction to Kristen or to the extent that you can speak for her, like hers to you, that like you guys identified when you were dating or getting serious? Like at what point did it start to matter to you? Like, oh, I can recognize that you and I have similar childhoods and upbringings and sort of values that we were raised with. Like we have a compatible mindset around that stuff. Yeah. Like when did that come into play? How did that come to the surface?
I mean, basically when we both met each other's families, like
so when you were dating,
when we were dating, like early on,
before you started to say like this should become a thing.
Yeah,
it wasn't that you started to say like maybe this is gonna become a thing, and then you're like, oh, happy accident. Yeah, we happen to have compatible expectations. You're like, no. First we realized, oh, I can see in you and like in meeting your family, I can see that there's this compatibility. And that was part of the attraction.
Well, and I think you can tell, too, from, like, even before I met her family, before she met mine, like, you're having conversations and, like, telling stories of when you're growing up and, like, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you can tell, like, that there are similarities in growing up. And, like, it's again, it's a cliche thing, but, like, I think it's super true. When you marry somebody, you're marrying their family, too. So you better like their family, because if you don't, you're in really... tough spot.
You're marrying their family.
Yeah.
Well, now I think, just to be devil's advocate, I think some people would say like, well, no, like I don't talk to my family. Like, and I found somebody else who also doesn't talk to their family.
So right, but
we're on an island,
and you can tell that, and you probably like that about them. I will say it makes it difficult. And I alluded to this a little bit before in saying, it might make things easier if you find someone from the same, geographical location that you're from.
Right.
Because logistically, it makes it a big hassle now. Christmas holidays, like we're traveling, someone's getting left out, and both families are very family oriented. So someone's feelings are hurt when we're not around for like a holiday.
Yeah,
and both, I'm 40 years old, so my parents are, they're in their mid 70s. Kristen's parents
I forgot how old you are.
Yeah. Kristen's parents are just turned 70, or turning 70 this month. So as things get, it would have been the same for my parents if we stayed down there. As Kristen's parents get older, we can't just easily hop over there to be like, oh, you need help with, shoveling the driveway? I'll come over and do it right now.
Right.
So it makes things a little bit more complicated than my parents had it, because my mom was from Manchester, New Hampshire. My dad was from Portsmouth, New Hampshire. They're an hour away.
Yeah.
And it's much easier to do that. I mean, you guys have a similar situation. It's not easy for you just to hop in the car and get there. And even Long Island's not a short trip, right?
No. 100%. Okay. So you identified that during the even before we're going to get serious. And so that meant you didn't have to that's a list of things that in a sense you could take for granted.
Yeah.
It was just baked in.
Yep.
You guys were on the same page, not necessarily because of happy accident. It almost sounds like you're saying, no, this was sort of a part of our evaluating whether or not this was going to get serious. You guys said, there's a compatibility here. We share expectations and sort of a model for. Now, what do you think would have happened if, you guys meet at this party, this Disney Hallmark roller coaster romance that you had, but then you start dating, and then you start to get a little more serious. You meet each other's families, and you realize, oh, her family's 180 degrees different than mine.
Yeah.
Her childhood and upbringing and expectations are entirely different. I'm really into this girl.
Yeah.
But we seem to be compatible. Nothing about her family life and my family life were the same.
Yeah.
How do you think you would have reacted to and navigated that recognition and that
that's a really tough question. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because...
And you don't have to assume it's actual Kristen, because I know then you feel well, we would have made it work because I love my wife. But just a hypothetical person.
It's just a regular person.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that goes to why I didn't continue to date other girls that I was dating, or get more serious with them or whatever, because in some cases, not in all cases, their upbringing or their childhood or family life or whatever however you want to say it wasn't similar to mine, or wasn't something that I would want to be involved in long term, right? And so I guess I answered that question even subconsciously by knowing I don't really want to pursue this anymore. So I guess that's how I would answer it.
Yeah, so that's a potential deal breaker.
Potentially. And I don't know if it's I don't know for sure if it would have been a subconscious or a conscious thing, or if it's more I don't want to marry this person because their family is terrible. I think it would be again something in my mind of something's off here. I'm not really into.
Yeah, I'm not confident this is going to work out. Yeah. No, that's interesting. Good.